Before we dive into this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm about to tell you something that might surprise you, but it all began on a bright summer afternoon. The sunlight was streaming through the kitchen window, casting warm patterns on the counter as I prepared lunch. My husband Mark had just left for a business trip, and the house felt unusually quiet. I found myself craving some excitement and a break from my usual routine of cooking, cleaning, and waiting for his return. There was a knock at the door. It was Ryan, my son-in-law, stopping by unexpectedly with his charming smile and youthful energy. He always had a way of brightening my day. Ryan had been married to my daughter Lily for a few years, and while I adored him as part of the family, there was a spark in his eyes that sometimes made me feel a little flustered. "I'm not interrupting anything," I said, stepping into the kitchen. The scent of fresh bread wafted through the air, and I gestured toward the table, inviting him to join me. I was just making lunch as we chatted, and he helped me slice vegetables. The banter flowed easily between us. We reminisced about family gatherings, joked about my cooking skills, and shared stories that made we both laughed, but there was an undercurrent of tension and a sense of something unsaid that lingered between us after we finished preparing lunch. Ryan hesitated, glancing toward the bathroom. "Can I ask you something a bit unusual?" he said, his voice lowering as if he were about to share a secret. My curiosity piqued. "Sure, what's on your mind?" I said, my tone eager. He was thinking about a small renovation project and explained that his cheeks were flushing slightly. He was keen to install a shelf in the bathroom but was unsure how to measure it properly. Would I mind helping him? His request was unexpected, and a mix of surprise and intrigue washed over me. What kind of help did he need? I asked, trying to keep my tone light, though I felt my heart racing at the thought of being alone with him in such an intimate space. Ryan's expression turned serious. He just thought it would be easier with the second set of eyes. "The bathroom's a bit cramped, and I'd love your opinion on where to place it." A small part of me felt exhilarated by the idea of working together on something so personal. I hesitated for a moment, but the thrill of breaking away from my usual routine was just too good to miss. "Let's do it," I said, unable to suppress a smile as we walked toward the bathroom. My mind was filled with excitement and anticipation. It was just a home improvement project, but the very act of stepping into that small space with Ryan felt loaded with unspoken possibilities. Once inside, I took in the familiar surroundings, the pastel tiles, the floral shower curtain, the way the light bounced off the mirrors, and I was filled with excitement. Ryan pointed to the wall where he envisioned the shelf, and I stepped closer, assessing the area while trying to ignore the fluttering in my stomach as I helped him measure. Our arms brushed against each other, sending a jolt of electricity through me. A jolt of electricity ran through me. "Do you think Mark would like this idea?" Ryan asked, his tone slightly teasing. But I sensed something deeper in his gaze. "Maybe," I replied, trying to keep my composure. "He tends to prefer things more traditional." Ryan chuckled softly, and our eyes met for a heartbeat longer than usual. A fleeting moment that felt heavy with meaning. "I just think you have such a great eye for design," he said, his voice dropping slightly. Compliments sent a warmth through me. I couldn't quite place it, but it was thrilling. Then I heard the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. My heart was racing. "Mark's home," I exclaimed, and Ryan's eyes widened in realization. We both stepped back, and the moment dissipated like a wisp of smoke as I rushed to gather the measuring tape and tools. The reality of the situation hit me like a bolt of lightning. My heart was racing, not just from the sudden interruption, but from the charged atmosphere that had developed between Ryan and me. I forced a smile as Mark entered the house, carrying a briefcase and a cheerful demeanor that felt worlds apart from the moment we had just shared. "Hey, I'm back," Mark called out, his voice echoing through the kitchen. He set his things down and approached, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 1 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. "What are you two up to?" "Oh, just discussing some bathroom ideas," Ryan replied. His tone expertly casual, though I could see the flicker of tension in his eyes. As we sat down for dinner, I tried to shake off the feeling of what had almost happened. I stole glances at Ryan, who seemed engaged in conversation with Mark, but occasionally met my eyes. Each look was laden with unspoken words, and Mark was blissfully unaware, sharing stories from his trip. His laughter filled the room. I felt caught between loyalty and excitement. After dinner, Ryan lingered as we cleared the table. I could feel the weight of his presence, and his expression was serious. He looked over at me and asked, "Can we talk for a minute?" Glancing toward the living room where Mark was busy sorting through his mail, I replied, "Sure." My heart was racing as I followed him into the adjacent room. The air was thick with anticipation as we stood facing each other. The distance between us was charged with energy. Ryan didn't mean for things to get weird, but they did. His voice was low and earnest, but I can't shake the feeling that there's something more between us. Can you feel it too? His words struck me like a lightning bolt, igniting a whirlwind of emotions. I took a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts. I felt something, yes. I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper, but we have to be careful, this is complicated. I know, he said, stepping a little closer, his eyes searching mine. But I can't help but wonder if we're missing out on something amazing. By ignoring it, I felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. The reality of our relationship loomed large. He was my son, and my loyalty to Mark was paramount, yet the thrill of the moment was undeniable. "What do you propose we do?" I asked, my pulse quickening. Ryan paused, contemplating. "Maybe we just take it one day at a time. We don't have to rush into anything, but I think we should acknowledge that something incredible is happening between us." Tension in the air was electric, and I felt a magnetic pull towards him. It was thrilling and terrifying at the same time. "Finally," I said, embracing the moment while keeping a level head. "We need to be discreet, of course, but it's going to be amazing." As he washed his face, we shared a moment of understanding, and a silent agreement settled around us like a delicate veil. Stepping back into the kitchen, I felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. Mark was still busy with his mail, completely oblivious to the emotions swirling just beneath the surface. I helped Ryan gather his things, and as he turned to leave, he looked back at me with a smile that held a promise. "Let's keep this between us for now." He nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "See you soon," he said, his eyes lingering on me before he stepped out the door. In the quiet that followed his departure, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. Kitchen, once filled with laughter and warmth, now felt heavy with the weight of what was to come. I knew our lives had shifted irreversibly, and I couldn't help but wonder how we would navigate the complexities of our new reality in the days to come. The atmosphere at home felt charged yet oddly familiar. Mark returned to his routine, sharing stories from his trip and ensuring everything was in its place, but I found myself preoccupied, caught between the warmth of my marriage and the thrill of the uncharted territory I had ventured into with Ryan. Every time the doorbell rang, my heart would leap, half expecting it to be him. I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years, but it came with our relationship was a delicate balance, and any misstep could lead to chaos. But we were up for the challenge. Ryan continued to visit frequently, often under the pretense of helping with household tasks. Each interaction was charged with an undercurrent of tension, our exchanges laced with double meanings and lingering glances. I could sense that he too was grappling with the complexity of our situation. One afternoon while I was Ryan arrived unexpectedly in the living room, and I couldn't have been more thrilled. As soon as our eyes met, I felt a rush of excitement mixed with a little apprehension. "Hey, I brought some cookies," he said, holding up a box with a cheeky grin. "Hey, come in," I replied, unable to suppress my smile as he stepped inside. We chatted casually, but there was an intensity simmering beneath. After a while, I suggested we take a break in the garden. "The weather's lovely. It'll be nice to get some fresh air," I said, leaving him outside. The garden was in full bloom, vibrant flowers dancing in the gentle breeze. We settled on a bench, the warmth of the sun wrapping around us like a comforting blanket. "You've made this place beautiful," Ryan remarked, glancing around. It feels like a little oasis. Thanks, I replied, smiling. I love it. Spending time here, I said, feeling a wonderful sense of peace. But that peace was quickly disrupted by the unspoken tension between us. I looked at Ryan and he met my gaze. The moment stretching between us. Can I be honest with you? He asked, his tone serious. I nodded, my heart racing. I can't stop thinking about that day in the bathroom. It's like everything shifted and now I see you differently. His words hung in the air and I felt a mix of fear and longing. I feel it too, I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. But we need to be careful if Mark ever found out. I know the risks. He interrupted gently, but I couldn't shake this feeling. There's something about you that draws me in. It's not just about attraction. It's deeper than that. I took a deep breath, wrestling with my own emotions. It's complicated, Ryan. We're family only by marriage, he said, his voice steady. If you're still tuned into this video and find the story inspiring, drop a 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. But it was filled with yearning, and that made it all the more exciting. The air between us crackled with possibility. I could feel my resolve wavering, the boundaries blurring. What do you want from this? I asked, my voice trembling with uncertainty. I want to explore this connection, he replied, his eyes locked on mine. I want to see where it leads us, but only if you're open to it. I felt my heart pounding with excitement. I was filled with a rush of excitement at the prospect, torn between fear and desire. We need to be discreet, I reminded him, knowing the implications of our conversation. He replied, reaching for my hand. The simple touch sent a thrill coursing through me, igniting every nerve ending. We can take it slow, just let it unfold naturally as we sat in the garden, our hands intertwined. I knew we were on the precipice of something incredible. As the warmth of the sun faded, the fire between us burned brighter than ever. The weight of our decision hung in the air like an unspoken promise as the days turned into weeks. Ryan and I navigated our newfound connection with care, each encounter a delicate dance filled with unspoken words and lingering glances. We found ways to be together without raising suspicion, and our secret moments became both exhilarating and exhausting in the best way. We met in the garden whenever we could, sharing thoughts and dreams and exploring the depths of our feelings. Without crossing boundaries, each time I felt both the thrill of our connection and the weight of our circumstances. One evening, while Mark was engrossed in a late-night work call, Ryan and I shared a quiet moment on the porch. The air was thick with anticipation, and I turned to him, my heart pounding. What if we got caught? I whispered, half in German, half in fear. Ryan's expression softened, and then we faced it together. But I don't want to hide what we have. I want to see where this leads. I smiled, feeling a rush of hope. Me too. But we need to be smart about it. That moment, the world around us melted away as our lips touched in a soft, tentative kiss. It was as if we were floating on a cloud, filled with a sense of freedom and possibility. It was a glimpse of what our connection could become, and it was incredible. Of course, we knew the road ahead would be challenging, but we were ready to face it together. We were walking a tightrope, balancing design, and we were excited for what the future held. Desire and loyalty. As I pulled away, I was filled with excitement for our journey ahead. The decisions we made would shape our lives in ways we couldn't yet imagine. In the quiet of that evening, I felt a sense of anticipation for what was to come. I knew that whatever path we chose, it would be one we would navigate together.